Coming up, meet the travel advisor who makes Iowa State athletics possible and her impact through the years. Then, meet an Iowa historian who brings stories to light and shows their impact today. Plus, hear from Iowa State seniors who reflect on the moments that shaped their college journey as this chapter closes.
A race around, and we had different heats, and I ended up winning the whole thing.
These stories and more start now on Studio 308. Welcome to Studio 308. I'm Mya Allen. We'll have these stories, plus we'll hear how one individual is making a difference in the Greek community at Iowa State. But first, we take a look at a student who was invited to Washington, D.C. For more, we're joined by Delaney Peterson for our Focus 5 segment. Good evening, Delaney.
Good evening, Maya. An Iowa State student had a unique experience to go to the White House after a political event was canceled on campus. The national organization Turning Point USA was supposed to come to Iowa State University on April 30th with Vice President J.D. Vance and the CEO and Chair Erica Kirk, but was postponed due to scheduling conflicts.
Because they canceled, they reached out to the leaders of the Turning Point USA chapter at Iowa State and asked if they would like to come out and meet with Vance at the White House.
Turning Point is known for aiding young conservative activists across the U.S., with approximately 900 official college chapters.
I'm here with about, I'd say, 15 other TPUSA members from Iowa State, as well as some members from the University of Iowa. In the afternoon, we'll get a tour of the state capitol, and then we'll have a meet and greet with the vice president at the White House. I think that's the main event. You know, it's not a ton of stuff, but, you know, we'll meet with the vice president. That's the main thing.
The next sponsored Turning Point USA event will be the Women's Leadership Summit from Friday, June 5th to Sunday, June 7th in San Antonio, Texas. The MAHA, or Make America Healthy Again bill that aligns with President Trump's health agenda, has made its way to Governor Kim Reynolds' desk. If signed, schools would ban certain food dyes, including Red 40, limit elementary screen time to 1 hour a day, require 40 minutes of daily physical activity, and also bring back the presidential fitness test. Medical changes include allowing school nurses to use nasal emergency injectors, adding 40 hours of nutritional training for medical students, and allowing over-the-counter sales of ivermectin, which is commonly used as an anti-parasite medication. For SNAP recipients, it would have more restricted guidelines. According to the governor's office, there is not yet a set timeline for when the bill could be signed. The city of Ames is raising fines for nuisance complaints during 801 Day. It's named after 8:01 a.m., which is the time when prohibition on alcohol at fraternities and sororities is lifted. This year, the first offense will be raised to $650, compared to the previous $100 fine. Repeat offenses will also now cost $855 each. Each year, the University Police Department posts the breakdown of all arrests and citations. This is from the past year, occurring from 7 a.m. on August 23rd to 3 a.m. of August 24th. Last year's 801 Day included a total of 13 arrests, 12 due to public intoxication, and 18 in possession of alcohol under the legal age. Penalties will start Friday, August 21st through Sunday, August 23rd. With the school year wrapping up and summer just around the corner, bigger crowds are coming to Central Iowa. The Blank Park Zoo is noticing an increase of visitors. Families and children are starting to take advantage of the nicer days and exploring what the zoo has to offer. This includes entertainment like the carousel ride and the indoor kids kingdom with a variety of activities like the safari jeep. Then there's a variety of animals to see, like the tigers and the river otters Mo and Oliver. If you're lucky, you can even see snow monkeys, similar to the viral star Punch the Monkey.
We are getting into May, and that is our busy time. So we have schools coming in during weekdays, then people are looking for things to do on weekends. So the weather's nicer, people are coming out to the zoo, and so the parking lot starts filling up, and the zoo pathways are full of guests.
On Saturday, May 9th, the Blank Park Zoo is celebrating its 60th anniversary, which will feature treats, free activities, and special animals. Warmer weather also means it's time for the downtown Des Moines Farmers Market. The market opened up May 2nd and will run until October 31st every Saturday in the historic Court District. Rain or shine, this event will typically bring in close to 28,000 people every morning, with live music and over 300 vendors selling anything from homemade products like caramel apples, dipped strawberries and baked goods, honey and honey products from local beehives, freshly made-to-order hot breakfast sandwiches with many options offered, and fresh produce from local farms and gardeners. These are just a handful of the goods sold here. It's also known by some as a dog show, where owners can bring their furry friends and walk them through the crowded streets. There are even professional balloon artists for the kids.
To be able to have something like this to where people can, take pride and be like, oh man, this cool art thing. There's a lot of arts here. There's a lot of artists and creatives. And so for people to be able to come out to the farmers market, connect with them, and learn that there are avenues here in Des Moines and Iowa to be able to express their craft, monetize their craft, it really is a fantastic opportunity to be able to connect with the community.
The next farmers market will be on May 9th from 7 a.m. until noon. Maya, I think between all those adorable dogs and all the vendors there, I might have to make my way down next week.
Delaney Peterson with our Focus 5 segment. Thank you, Delaney. College sports fans often don't notice how athletics travel to their competitions. We are now joined by Acacia Coates at the Jacobson Building at Iowa State University. Acacia, what does it take to get Iowa State athletics around the world?
Maya, for one woman, the Iowa State athletics travel schedule is personal. It takes dedication to manage the transportation of a state university's athletics department, from coaches to teams to everyone that goes with.
I'm Joni Coates, and I'm the travel manager for Iowa State Athletics, and I actually work for Anthony Travel.
Joni has worked with Iowa State Athletics for over 10 years, from students to Olympians.
It's always fun to work with these kids and these teams for the 4 years they're here or whatever, and then they go on. One case is wrestling. I mean, wrestling is really, it's very different as far as the way the team works, because they go in to a city and they need flights and cars and hotels, or they need a bus, and then another part of the team might be going this direction and they need more over here, and it's all the same weekend. So it gets a little crazy trying to plan their team stuff, but it all works in the end, and then they excel and they end up in the Olympics, and that's pretty special. So we have a few of these that we've been fortunate to work with over the last years I've been here. They have Bridget Carlton down here for women's basketball, Tyrese from basketball, and then Edwin he was from Kenya. I remember bringing him here for his visit. That's the other thing we do. We bring these recruits in to visit with the coach, see the school, and decide if they're going to come here or not. So we do that for all the teams. There's 2 of us here on site that do that, and we make sure that they get here and get back home to where they need to be. On top of my normal job, I was offered to actually go and work with the fans as well. So I got to go for 2 weeks and help fans get around part of Ireland. And then we got to go to the game that day. This was the big pep rally beforehand. It was one of my favorite days. It was packed with red and gold.
Joni has developed relationships with all of Iowa State's coaches. As a travel agent, she sees a side of them that others often don't.
TJ. I just told TJ the other day, congratulations on your wonderful extension, but I'm not staying that long. I hope to retire soon. He just laughed.
The work Joni does often goes unnoticed or overlooked by the fans, but the hours she pours into the coaches and athletes are invaluable.
From family farms to small towns, Iowa's past is still shaping life today. One historian has spent her career piecing together stories that reveal new layers of that history. Maggie Burchett gives us an inside look at her work.
For many Iowans, history's influence on the present often goes unnoticed. Historian Pamela Riney-Kerberg has spent her career revealing those hidden stories.
What drew me first to studying rural and agricultural history, and particularly of the Midwest, was that this part of the country began there with rural and agricultural history, and you can't understand this part of Iowa, you can't understand the Midwest today without understanding those historical roots. I grew up in a family where all of my grandparents had grown up on farms. My family was a family of storytellers, and so I liked to hear their stories. And that's how I ended up writing my dissertation, which was my first book, which is Rooted in Dust, Surviving Drought and Depression in Southwestern Kansas. Didn't start out writing about Iowa, started with Kansas, because this is where my family was from. And this book is about the experiences of average, ordinary people in the face of really severe environmental stress and economic stress. And it told me a lot about where I came from and what my family's experiences had been. I've recently done work on the 1980s, which I really enjoyed. I mean, that was an incredibly difficult decade for this state. I'm really drawn to crisis points and looking at how people adapt and how people survive in crisis points.
In the archives and through old records, her work is driven by an ongoing search for new questions and new perspectives.
What I do is I try and keep my eyes open and allow myself to be surprised, because it's in allowing yourself to be surprised that you find the best stuff.
Her work has also been recognized beyond publishing in archives, earning her one of the state's most meaningful honors in Iowa history research.
The State Historical Society awarded me the Dorothy Schweeder Award for Excellence in Iowa History, Research in Iowa History, 2 years ago. And that meant the world to me. History isn't something that just happens on either coast. It happens here, and it happens to all of us. And we should all have the opportunity to experience that in our lives.
In tonight's Face-to-Face, we sit down with an individual highly involved in the Greek community at Iowa State. Here's Ashley Hummel with more.
Thank you, Maya. Thanks for joining us, Jeffrey. I'd love to hear about your enrollment in the Iowa State Greek community and what impact that you've had in each one of those.
Yeah, of course. So start off, I am a member of Triangle Fraternity. I was the Vice President of Operations, which is essentially like a secretary position for most other chapters. But it was definitely a fun time to be on exec. But now I'm back as the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chair. This is actually my second time serving as that position. I started my sophomore year, and good to be back. Then, of course, I'm on the Interfraternal Council as the Vice President of Social Education. This is 2 years running now, and it's definitely been fun. And then finally, next year, I'll be starting as the President of Order of Omega, which is a highly honored Greek honor society.
And then kind of like looking at all those leadership positions, what's one lesson that you've taken away from all of them?
I would say a leadership is, thing that I've really learned is that, you should always listen to and gauge a chapter and see with your ideas and what they want to see from those positions. So if you're planning an event, something like I planned out the Interfraternal Council bonfire, that was something that I wanted to essentially grab and have people be able to be more social in a more freeing setting. And of course I wanted them to gauge their ideas, but something in a lesson that doesn't always work for every chapter is that you can't listen to everything to a minute detail. So remember that it's your light and you have to let it shine, even if it's through them. So always making sure that your idea is getting pushed through.
All right. And then as the Diversity and Inclusion Chair at Triangle, what's an initiative that you've implemented that has actually gained more awareness?
So like I said, this is my second time through this position. When I started this position, I created this roundtable or learning initiative called Brave Spaces, essentially breaking down the idea of the traditional safe spaces where you can say whatever you want. I think someone being able to just say that isn't just profound or strong enough. So I built this idea of reshaping the lingo into brave spaces where you can still share your ideas and someone can learn from you even if you have different opinions. And that way that you're able to say it freely and be brave about it.
And then Jeffrey, as a junior at Iowa State, how are you involved in so many leadership positions here and as a double major?
It's definitely hard, having a double major as well as a safety certification. It's a lot, but I'd say planning it out everything from the most minute detail. You know, I plan out even when I'm going to have lunch. I wake up every day checking my Google Calendar, and I have everything color-coded. You know, triangle fraternity things are red, IFC things are yellow, and then Order of Omega is green. Don't ask me what any of the colors mean. I don't know, they just make sense in my head. But yeah, definitely planning things out is important.
Kind of looking forward, next year when you take on the president of the Order of Omega, what is something that you're looking forward to implement or see be done?
Order of Omega is, you know, it's a wonderful honor society, and it's filled with so many great leaders and people that you always want to get to see and hear more about. And, you know, being able to hear their stories from their chapter is something that's so important to me. But the problem with that is, you know, when you don't get to see them, you don't get to hear all of those wonderful things that's going on in their lives. So definitely increasing attendance is something that I want to work on. No matter what I can do, making that interesting. Maybe it's snacks, maybe it's whatever it can do. But I think I'm going to go ahead and, you know, like I said, I'm going to listen to them and just see what they need from me as a president and see what I've learned from all my leadership roles with my executive team in order to get more people in the door. And, you know, when that next initiation comes around, we'll see hopefully all of our chapter that's currently there and bring in new members.
And then when you make a decision and you face pushback on it, how do you deal with that? Do you stay strong on your standing or do you flex?
I think being able to look back on what's going on and see what their problem is and seeing how it aligns with the original vision of what my goal was when I created whatever it is that I'm doing, and seeing maybe there's something that I'm doing wrong. And if there isn't from my standard, I have to go back and see from an outside perspective, engage with them and see how I can fix what's going on and move forward with that. That way we can fix both while realigning what I'm doing as well as helping them to see where my vision is.
And then what advice would you give to someone that's looking to take on leadership positions?
The biggest, you know, advice I can give anyone is get started. You know, I remember back to the end of my freshman year, I had just been elected as vice president for Future Business Leaders of America here at Iowa State, and it was just so nerve-wracking when I came back in the fall of that semester because I was, you know, a vice president now, and it was scary, but I finally had eyes on me and I was proving myself as a leader. I think everyone just has to go out and get that first leadership role. From there, everything else is going to be so much easier.
Oh, well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for joining us. Jeffrey's ability to take on multiple leadership roles is truly inspiring. Maya?
Ashley Hummel with our face-to-face segment. Thank you, Ashley. And finally tonight, summer is just around the corner as graduates prepare to say goodbye to this chapter of their lives. Brodie Figgins, Kate Thalacker, and I asked Iowa State seniors to reflect on their experiences one last time.
What do you think? Wait, is it recording right now? I don't even know what I want to say. I should have thought about that.
My favorite Iowa State memory would probably be the year that I transferred here. I met a peer mentor through one of my classes, and although you're not meant to be friends with your peer mentors, I met many great connections through them, and I'm very fortunate to meet them. You can't stop the power of friendship.
Okay. My favorite memory was meeting each other and living in Martin Hall.
Beating Iowa.
I got a couple, which is crazy. It's gotta be like school appropriate, right?
Okay, my favorite Iowa State memory is probably I'm in a sorority, Alpha Phi, and we do Yell Like Hell, and so I was the Yell Like Hell co-chair, and we also won our freshman year, so that was really fun. Yeah, being a part of Alpha Phi was probably my favorite memory, just as a whole, but also just events on campus like Yell Like Hell and lip sync and stuff were just really fun, so yeah.
Okay, my favorite memory was my freshman year, the first week of orientation. I met like 5 guys on a sand volleyball court, and they ended up being some of my closest friends, even as a senior.
Let's see.
So my favorite Iowa State memory is freshman year when I was living in my dorm. We all brought our rolly chairs out to Kerry Lane Court, and we had a race around. And we had different heats, and I ended up winning the whole thing, got a trophy for it, and had a really great community freshman year, and that's my favorite Iowa State memory.
Okay, all right, I got it. Oh.
My favorite Iowa State memory would probably be storming Jack Trice Stadium in 2024 when we beat K-State for our 10th win. It was really cold, but being able to storm the field made it all worth it.
Okay, perfect. My favorite Iowa State memory would actually probably have to be when we spent the night in Parks Library my sophomore year for finals week, because it's open 24/7. We played a huge game of sardines, actually brought like my PS5 and everything, and was like hooking up to the TVs and monitors. We ended up leaving like middle of the night AMs because we just actually needed sleep, but it was a vibe.
My favorite Iowa State memory would be meeting all my friends and trying to find out what my future career path is, and I found it. Thank you.
Well, we had a lot of great stories tonight, guys, starting off with all the cute dogs at the farmers market, learning more about that Maha bill, as well as Iowa State seniors reflecting on their favorite memory.
Absolutely, and that Maha bill, if signed, can affect many Iowans. Ashley, you also had a very interesting interview.
I'd have to agree. The way that Jeffrey is able to take on so many leadership roles is truly inspiring.
Thank you, guys. Tonight concludes the premiere season of Studio 308. We want to thank John Schaefer, Jake Anderson, Ben Duggins, and the staff of the Student Innovation Center for their support this year, both in and out of the studio. For Ashley Hummel, Delaney Peterson, and our entire cast and crew, I'm Mya Allen. Thanks for joining us on Studio 308. Good night.